Hello, this is Professor Werwath. I want to go through the case study of digital ubiquity. This is more or less my perspective on the topic. I think it's a topic that has overtaken us in the last 15 or 20 years in terms of how not just IoT, but how the entire digital landscape has transformed our lives and every aspect of our lives. The internet is no longer just a way of sharing information between human beings, but now it's a form of sharing information between machines and human beings. So IoT, Internet of Things, has truly transformed business strategy and created a whole new layer of opportunity. Let's go through it here. So there's really two opportunities here, right? One is for every business model, there's two aspects of value creation and value capture. Value creation is how you add value in the customer's perspective. It's otherwise known as a value proposition. Why would the customer pay you money for whatever it is you're trying to deliver to them? Value capture is how the supplier monetizes that value created for the customer. So how do you charge them? Is it a recurring charge model through subscription? Is it a transaction model? Is it an advertising model, et cetera, et cetera? So you have different ways of capturing the value, and obviously an infinite number of ways of creating the value for the customer, right? IoT tends to create new opportunities to both create and capture value. Entirely new business models are being created as a result. Let's start with everything as a service. We've heard of software as a service. We've heard of infrastructure as a service. Hardware as a service. There's all sorts of services that can now be provided. We're now migrating quickly towards an everything as a service model. So why should you pay for heated seats in your car when you only use them a few months a year? Why not pay for them when you use them, right? Similar to Netflix, you turn it on when you need it, and you turn it off when you don't, and you pay for it as you go. And as you go, as you're paying for it, it becomes an all-you-can-eat model, but in as long as you're paying those monthly bills. So in a sense, everything as a service provides you that opportunity to scale, to be capital light. You don't have to pay for the capital. Your savings up front can either be immediately pocketed or distributed over time, and you can pay for that product, that hardware, that service as you need it, when you need it. That's the advantage for the customer, right? As an entrepreneur, I can tell you, having infrastructure as a service or having cloud-based services is infinitely preferable to building your own server farm and building your own capabilities in-house, which is both capital intensive, time and energy intensive. And oh, by the way, you may not have all the expertise you need to completely stay current, safe, secure, right, and reliable. So these cloud services provide all of those things at a fraction of the costs. You pay as you go and you pay as you scale. So if you only need a few seats now and a few hundred seats later, you pay for what you need when you need it. The connected automobile, right? This has a long history. We'll be getting into that in a few moments, but today it's not atypical for an EV or most certainly all EVs that I'm aware of having a remote start, remote lock, remote unlock, remote temperature control, remote access to key information such as state of charge, range, location, surrounding videos, data services to the vehicle, Wi-Fi hotspot, OTA, software updates. So over-the-air updates are becoming commonplace now. It's no longer just the province of the Teslas of the world, but even the Kias of the world and the Hyundais of the world and the General Motors and Fords of the world and Volkswagens. They're all doing some form of, and maybe not as complete as Tesla, but certainly some form of over-the-air updates, which bring features and functionality to the vehicle well after you purchase the vehicle, which is pretty much unheard of prior to OTA and prior to the connected automobile. So these sorts of features and functions are expected now. I think most people expect their vehicles to be somehow connected to the internet and to have access to that car and to the features through the internet. Where did this all come from? It came from telematics, which was originally a research project and kind of a standard setting project between Microsoft and General Motors back in the day. And when I say back in the day, we're talking 30 years. This was easily 30 years ago. What it does is it combines GPS technology with 3G, 4G, 5G connectivity and cloud-based storage and remote telemetry to give users a true connected car experience, right? So guess what? Most of the things I just showed you in the previous slide were largely available to people even 10, 15 years ago. I had a telematics device in my General Motors car in the year 2005. I've been able to add it to other cars, including aftermarket accessories for telematics, bolted onto my Toyota Camry, but offered by General Motors. So these were General Motors solutions that were aftermarket and telematics-based technologies. What did it do? Well, as a first and foremost, the emergency alarm, right? So if you push the button, you can get emergency roadside assistance. You can get police and fire, immediate attention, and lost vehicle tracking, et cetera. So you have a variety of features that you otherwise would not have in an unconnected car. So these connected devices were plugged into General Motors cars and later Mercedes-Benz and others. Is from the early 2000s onwards. So this is not new. I mean, OnStar is the General Motors product, and I'm sure you've heard of OnStar. It's easily 20, well, it probably had its genesis in the early 2000s. Tesla Cam, a lot of people are not aware of this, except for Tesla owners, but Tesla Cam takes dash cams to the next level. So literally a camera in every direction, operating on command, on demand, based on sensory inputs. So if somebody gets close to your car, the Tesla Cam is activated. Tesla Cam is on while you're driving, and you're keeping track of every direction, multiple cameras, front, back, sideways. That way, any kind of accident at all is captured, and you can replay it back for insurance to see who really was at fault. Some other advantages is the surveillance, just to make sure that nobody's messing with your car, nobody's trying to damage your car or vandalize your car. So it's come in quite handy. And there's actually a whole cadre of videos on YouTube on Tesla Cam situations and events of interest to the audience at large, right? Your home has become basically a connected home place, right? Starting with your router, because your router is basically where all of these connections are made. So today's routers are capable of handling speeds up to 6 gigabytes. More than 30 devices can be affiliated at once. In the old days, 10 years ago, you might have had a computer along with a smartphone or two affiliated to your router, and that was it. Now, what have we got? We've got all of these things: front door locks, garage door openers, thermostats, front door cameras, multiple cameras around the house, maybe upwards of 4 or 5. Amazon devices, Echo devices, car webcam devices, Amazon Fire TV devices, Google Nest, Chromecast, laptops, desktops, tablets, smartphones. So this is not a typical, right? And we're talking dozens and dozens of devices now, right? So this is not unusual. This is really the smart home, if you will, the connected home. And it allows you to manage aspects of your home remotely. I'm setting my thermostat while I'm on the road so that when I get home, it's the temperature I want it to be. And when I'm away from home long enough, I set it to a temperature that saves me money and also keeps my energy bills down. GE on the industrial side, how do they monetize IoT? They have something called Predix, which is dramatically streamlining the monitoring and maintenance of all GE industrial technologies. It basically is a standardized IoT solution, right? It provides data analytics, asset management, communications. It learns from historical data. It has peer-to-peer communications. It reduces unplanned downtime. It improves efficiency, and it better plans and schedules your downtime activities. So IoT, the case of Caterpillar, right? They're keeping track of all their assets around the world. Every Caterpillar product, heavy equipment is an expensive piece of capital for whoever owns it, right? So attaching an IoT device gives you capital asset management as a minimum. That's like minimum, right? But managing maintenance, repairs, service events, failures, et cetera, et cetera. You can automate the whole thing, right? If a failure occurs, you can actually have the infrastructure order the replacement part and ship it to your customer before they even know something's wrong, right? So there you go. The part's not only on order, it's being delivered to you at your address, thanks to their IoT solutions, right? I think everyone knows about the Nest thermostat. These were refugees from Apple who decided to take the Apple design thinking approach to the home, to something that's fixed in the home, but it can be used as part of a smarter, intelligent home solution, right? Nest creates value, right? For utilities, it's better able to understand human and individual demands and behaviors at the consumer home level, right? And for consumers to capitalize on time of day pricing, which can save up to 20% on electric bills. So adjusting your thermostat throughout the day based on what the energy costs are, that's within the realm of possibility using your Nest device, right? For consumers to access and control thermostats remotely and or automatically, right? That's one of the other advantages as well. We've talked about OnStar, right? OnStar was again, accident detection, 911 calling, remote start battery conditioning, stolen vehicle recovery. All of these are the features you get with an OnStar device. Um, the funny part is, right, within General Motors, they had to figure out, well, these are subscription services that OnStar will be benefiting from, but the car divisions that build the cars have to incur the costs of putting the hardware into the vehicle. So adding a couple $100 of cost into the vehicle without any immediate return, because nobody pays extra for a car that has OnStar, except after the fact, after the sale, when they're paying for the monthly subscription. So it became a bit of an accounting gymnastics to figure out how to compensate the product divisions from the OnStar division, or how to offset the costs that the product divisions are incurring as a result of the revenue that OnStar was trying to produce, right? A whole new system that I discovered just literally October 2024, right? It's called Recurrent. So for those who have EVs, electric vehicles, this is a way to connect your electric vehicle to the Recurrent infrastructure for them to interrogate your battery and to understand the state of your battery, right? It gives you a report card. In this case, I'm getting an 87%. I don't consider that very good, but it is a somewhat old car. It's a 7-year-old Chevy Bolt. And you can see here some of the statistics it's giving me about projected range, battery life and health, travel range, seasonal range. So they seasonally adjust it. They've got a lot of good information here. This is especially useful if you're trying to buy an EV. If you're trying to buy one for the first time, a used EV in particular, you want to know the condition of the battery before you make that purchase. Recurrent is now becoming a dealer standard. So if you're buying an EV, you should get the Recurrent battery report card. If it's a used EV, the dealer should be able to give you this report. This is an independent report, just kind of like Carfax, but very specific to the battery. So that is what I thought a very interesting IoT application. Look, this is new within the last 2 years. There's new IoT applications popping up every day. And I'm hoping that this inspires some of you to create your own IoT applications, answering basic questions like in the EV world, what's the state of this battery, right? And being able to answer that is a value add. With that, I will let you all go.